Aloha, everybody. This is Matt Sumstein with my first 2020 football training tape. I know our season's been disrupted. I'm coming to you from the confines of my lockdown in Makakilo, Hawaii. But just keep the faith and stay positive, and we'll get through this. And before you know it, we'll be right back in football season. My subject today is going to be the goal line pylon and extending that pylon for purposes of going from the field of play into the end zone. So you can see the diagram here. This is the diagram we'll use for the first number of slides. Again, from the field of play toward the end zone, you can see the orange line at the front edge of the goal line. That represents the goal line plane inside of the field of play. If a ball carrier carries the ball or catches and lands in the end zone from the field of play across that goal line plane, then it will be a touchdown. This illustration shows a player who is a runner and is diving toward the goal line. You can see that the ball breaks that goal line plane inside of the pylon, so this would be a score. Now, let's take this same runner who has gone airborne and diving toward the goal line and say that that ball hits the pylon. Now, by philosophy in NFHS or high school rules, we will consider that a touchdown. It's just too close to be able to determine whether or not he broke the plane or hit the pylon first. So quick recap, if a runner is diving or contacting the field of play, and the first thing that strikes that pylon is the ball or the hand that's holding the ball, it is a touchdown. Okay, let's transition into a player who dives and lands out of bounds. So you can see that this player is airborne. He went airborne before he or the ball reached the goal line. He passes over the pylon, lands out of bounds. Follow the path that black arrow shows of the ball. Because he was a runner and already in possession of the ball when he leapt from the field of play, then as long as the ball passes inside of that pylon prior to him contacting out of bounds, then it will be a touchdown. Here's another example of a player hitting a pylon with his foot. Now he dove and then his foot hits the pylon. So what happens? Is this a score or is this not a score? It's going to depend on the trajectory of the ball. The pylon puts the player out of bounds. So if the ball followed path A, at the time that the player struck the pylon and was out of bounds, the ball had already crossed inside of the pylon, so it's a touchdown. In example B, if the ball was in his right hand, for instance, when the ball crossed the sideline plane, it was outside of the pylon and crossed the sideline plane at the 1. So when he hits the pylon and becomes down by rule or dead out of bounds, then you have to bring the ball back to the intersecting point of where the ball left the field of play. Please keep in mind that that's the NFHS rule on contacting the pylon. The NCAA rule, the NFL rules, they're different regarding pylons. And we'll talk about a little of that when we talk about extending the goal line. Let's move on to our next play where we have a player diving from the field of play. He lands out of bounds. You can see half of his body is over what would be the goal line if he was in the field of play, but because he's out of bounds, it's handled a little bit differently. So what do we do with the ball? It depends on if he got the ball inside of the pylon before landing out of bounds. In this example, he does not. The trajectory of the ball crossed the sideline at the 2. So since he did cross the sideline at the 2 with the football and then landed out of bounds, we bring the ball back to that intersecting point and it will be placed at the 2-yard line. All right, now let's transition into extended goal lines. In the NFHS, as long as you have a body part down anywhere within this highlighted area, the end zone, the goal line, or the field of play, if you've got a foot down at the 1, you can see the yellow line to the right is an extension of the goal line. As long as you have a body part down, you can reach the ball outside of the pylon, cross that extended goal line, the yellow line in the example above, and still get credit for the touchdown. The only time you don't get an extended goal line in high school is if you do not have a body part down. So the NCAA rule does not include the field of play. You either have to be touching in the end zone or, unique to the NCAA, the goal line pylon will also extend the goal line. The NCAA allowing the pylon to extend the goal line does bring up a number of differences from high school, so we will cover that when we get to the training tape portion of this session. But for now, let's move into the NFL. In the NFL, take away that goal line pylon. If you've got a body part touching in the end zone, which includes the goal line, then you get the goal line extended. And a little bit of rule trivia for you guys that like it. In the NFL, if a runner contacts the pylon, it does not kill the play and does not put the runner out of bounds. Okay, let's get back to the slides and talk about that extended goal line. So we have a ball carrier, or a receiver in this case, who gets a foot down at the 1. You can see that the ball is outside of the goal line pylon. Does he get the touchdown or does he not get the touchdown? And you can see that the path of the ball did cross at the 2 like some of the earlier examples we had. But because he's contacting the field of play in National Federation, he gets the goal line extended. You transition this to NCAA and NFL. They do not get the goal line extended because the field of play does not do it for you in those two codes. NFHS, this is a touchdown. All right, the next slide shows a player who catches a ball or lands in this awkward position with his jumping from the field of play into the end zone with his foot contacting in the end zone. In all codes, if you're contacting in the end zone and you're in possession of the ball, meaning you've satisfied the catch requirements, then you get the goal line extended. So in this case, whether it is a run or a pass, in all three codes, if you've met the criteria for the process of a catch, meaning 1 foot in NFHS and NCAA, 2 feet or a body part in the NFL, then you get the goal line extended, and in this example, touchdown in all three. The next play we're moving into is an airborne receiver, meaning he left the ground, controlled the football in the air, came down, landed on the pylon. What do we have? Well, what we have in the NFHS and the NCAA is the pylon putting the player out of bounds because he has not yet completed the process of a catch, meaning coming to the ground. The pylon puts him out of bounds, then he is out of bounds. This is a simple, incomplete pass. This last slide shows an order of contact. So we have an airborne receiver. His first point of contact is in the end zone. Second point of contact is on the pylon. So in the NFHS and the NCAA, the first point of contact, as long as you satisfy all the necessities of making the catch, meaning ultimately survive the ground in this case, the first point of contact is in the end zone. So you get the goal line extended. The second point of contact is the pylon. NFHS makes no difference. The goal line's already extended because your foot's down. NCAA, the pylon would also extend the goal line if you happen to lift that foot. So in this case, the play becomes dead instantly when you hit the pylon because of the location of the ball not being beyond the goal line extended, even though you do have the goal line extended. The progress spot is where the ball is. All right, let's transition into some video plays. The first play is a sweep left, and he stretches the ball outside of the pylon. Now we're starting from the 7. This is a 7-man mechanics, but this would be the same mechanic for the wing official in a 5, because from the 7 and in, you're moving down toward the goal line. So this is an NCAA game. That second view doesn't help us much as far as the feet are concerned. But what I want you to look at is the possible differences. So when the runner approaches the pylon, we've got the official in a good spot. If that foot is down inbounds and the runner's extending the ball beyond the goal line plane, extended high school only, this would be a touchdown. Because the field of play does not extend the goal line in college, because only the pylon and the end zone do, this would be at the intersecting point of where the ball went out of bounds. Play number 2. This is also a get to the pylon play, but he gets the ball inside the pylon. So what we have to worry about on these types of plays is there a double action to consider? Is he down prior to the ball reaching the pylon or the goal line plane? So you can see that there's a possibility that we've got a knee down at about the 1.5, and he is stretching the ball. This view, because of the angle, pushes the arm in. You can see that with the line on the screen. But as we move into the other views, we'll get a little bit better perspective. When dealing with the goal line, the end zone views are not the greatest. That's why it's important for us to watch our mechanics in the field of play when we're working. You can see here that this view also looks like that left knee is on the ground as he's stretching. What this does tell you, though, is that the ball passes inside of the pylon. It doesn't hit the pylon, meaning it reached the goal line plane prior to him knocking the pylon over. That could be important if you're in a replay situation, which a lot of high schools are moving into. This view does show you that the knee lands on the other player, does not hit the ground, so we do not have a double action situation. Even though the defender is out of bounds and the runner is contacting that defender, it does not put the runner out of bounds. The only thing that puts the runner out of bounds is an object such as the pylon, or something else that's out of bounds other than a player or official. So in this case, he's not out of bounds. He reaches the ball inside the goal line plane. Touchdown. Play number 3 is a catch at the pylon. Interesting one. Don't laugh. I can see the guys in white knickers. I know you guys are laughing right now in your meeting. Let's just go to the play. I saved this play because it's pretty unique. So what you've got is a receiver who ultimately contacts the pylon. Looks like he sticks the catch, lands out of bounds. So the question is, did he stick the catch prior to touching the pylon? If he did, because he's got a foot down in the end zone, and high school, that would automatically extend your goal line, then this would be a catch. It's just a question of, did the ball cross the goal line, extend it? When he touches the pylon, it will automatically kill the play. And in college, it would also extend the goal line had that foot lifted. In this case, it's very, very tight. The ruling was catch, and I believe that to be accurate. And the ruling on the field also was down inside the 1, which I also believe to be accurate because of the position of his body in relation to the goal line when he contacts that pylon. One of our earlier slides showed this type of play. So when you guys are doing your test questions, please don't take that attitude, oh, this will never happen, because most test questions are based on plays that already happened. So give them your best effort. Play number 4 involves a catch and the pylon also, but in this case, the receiver touches the pylon prior to the ball's arrival. So when we get down here, you can see that the pylon has already been knocked down by this receiver who is currently airborne. So when the ball arrives, it will either be incomplete right away, or had he reestablished with the foot before the ball arrived, it would be a catch for a touchdown in NFHS and also illegal participation because he came back in. The NCAA, if he came back in, reestablished, and caught that ball, would be illegal touching, which is just a loss of down. So the two codes are entirely different, but it's really illegal either way. So if he hits the pylon, is airborne, and then touches the ball while still airborne, simple incomplete pass, still out of bounds. If he touches the pylon, comes back in bounds, NFHS, it's illegal participation. NCAA, it's illegal touching if he touches the ball. Play number 5 involves a ball carrier who kicks the pylon with an extended leg. So this is a very difficult play. In 4-man mechanics, impossible. In 5-man, only the back judge can help you out. So as we discussed earlier today, touching the pylon in NFHS and NCAA will kill the play if you're a ball carrier. So in this case, the ball carrier touches the pylon. The ball is in his right arm behind the goal line. Doesn't matter if it's extended or not in this case by kicking the pylon in NCAA because the ball is behind the goal line. The ball's short, put it just inside the 1, and we move on. Play number 6 is a play I call the flying pylon, and it involves a runner who jumps from inbounds, and it actually is his entire body is out of bounds, flying, and he extends the ball into the pylon. You can also see that the ball is loose. So look at a couple of these plays. We can see he's inbounds all the way. Anytime you have a ball on the ground, you want to go back and verify that it was in control and possession all the way through, either crossing the goal line plane extended, or contacting the pylon. In this case, that is true. Now let's do a little hypothetical. Let's take the ball out of his left hand and put it in his right hand. You can see I drew a little fake football in his right hand. Now what do we have? So this is going to be depending on whether you're working high school or college as to what the ruling is going to be. Let's go back and look at the end zone view and see if we can't get a better perspective. Here we can see he leaps from the field of play. The ball's in his left hand. Ball contacts the pylon, inside the pylon. We know this is a touchdown in all codes. But take that ball from his left hand, throw it over, put it in his right hand like I'm doing digitally here, and what do we have? If it's in his right hand in high school, we have to take it back to the point where the ball intersected the sideline in the field of play. In college, because the pylon extends the goal line, you have a goal line extended, this is still a touchdown. Interesting play, but very vast differences when it comes to pylon mechanics. Play number 7 is a good example of the differences between NFHS and NCAA rules. The runner approaches the pylon, you can see a quick blow up. Automatically, we've got questions because the ball's in his right arm. So for purposes of this video, we're going to say that the ball crossed the sideline plane at about the 1-yard line. The ball's in his right arm. It is to the right of his right leg. His right leg passes outside of the pylon. So we're going to assume, just for purposes of this, ball's out of bounds at the 1-yard line. Now, is the goal line plane extended? Only in high school while a body part is down in the field of play or end zone. In college, the pylon extends it. So in high school, if his foot is down, the goal line is extended, currently short. When does his foot come off of the ground? Is it off the ground now? If it is, the goal line plane is not extended. Really too close to call. But making the assumption that the runner's right leg hits the pylon there in that last shot, so in NCAA, that will extend the goal line, touchdown. Last play, play number 8. So we're going to set the precedent, the rules for this play. We are going to assume that the ball was out of bounds, crossed the sideline plane out of bounds anyway, at the 1-yard line. Ball's in his left arm. It is extending left. It's to the left of his left leg. So we're going to say the ball is not over the field of play. Also, in all of the diagrams we've shown, the goal line pylon is outside of the field of play at that intersection point of the front edge of the goal line. So we're just going to digitally move this pylon out where it was supposed to be. So again, for rule discussions, we're assuming the ball has crossed the sideline plane at or near the 1-yard line. Now, we come back in, we see we got feet in bounds all the way. That left foot did not touch the goal line. That's important from an extension of the goal line standpoint. So let's go back and find out by rule when the goal line's extended and when we get a touchdown and when we don't. Let's start with the high school rule. He's touching in the field of play. The ball is beyond the goal line extended, which he gets. So this is a touchdown in high school. When he touches the pylon in NCAA, the goal line is extended. So at that point, the play is over and we have a touchdown in the NCAA. And as we discussed earlier, if a runner who is in possession of the ball in the NFL touches the pylon, it does not kill the play. It does not put the runner out of bounds. So the play's not over until the runner, in this case, steps out of bounds. Because he did not get the goal line extended, and we're making the assumption that the ball did cross the sideline plane at or near the 1-yard line. In the NFL, as opposed to touchdown in high school, touchdown in college, we would take this ball back to the sideline intersection point where it would either be first down or the next down in the series. As is typically the case, I took 20 minutes to talk about a single subject. I hope you guys enjoyed it. My best wishes go out to you and your families, and hope for the quick return of our game and our society, not only for us, but for the entire world. Also, just a little offer. If you guys have a subject that you want the training video created on, or if you have something that you want me to create for your group specifically, feel free to drop me an email or give me a call. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, which has years and hundreds of videos attached to it. All right, best of wishes, guys. Catch you later.